design. And so we've actually narrowed it down to 3, and we will focus on that for this upcoming academic year. Next, we'll also do a brief overview of what we've planned for you this upcoming fall quarter. And also, we will be going over some of the resources that are available to you, because as a design org, we're very, very, very heavily focused on making sure we have resources for you to continue learning and educating yourself about design. And moving on, based on the sign-up forms that many of you have actually signed up to know about this event, a lot of the questions and comments we've gotten are actually, how can I get involved? Or what are some ways I can be involved as a member? And hopefully when we get to that section, I'll be able to address some of those questions. And after that would be some ways to connect. So we have a lot of social handles, and we hope you're up to date with us about what's going on with the club. And last but not least, like I mentioned earlier, we have a chance to meet everyone on the board. So that's what we have laid out for us today. And I think a question we had was how long this will take. We're trying to keep this event pretty much under 30 minutes. We're not trying to hold you hostage or treat this like school. So please sit back, relax. It is not school. All right, so here's our mission statement. We are SB Creative Lab, and we really strive to empower and build an inclusive design community here at UCSB. We want to provide opportunity for student designers to continue to grow and also hone and refine their skills. And we'll actually go into more detail about what workshops, design challenges really entail. So look forward to that. And the 3 design discipline focuses that we've decided to concentrate on are actually illustration, graphic design, and UI/UX. Now, some of you might be asking, what is UI and UX? Don't worry. So I'm actually going to turn the mic over to Joyce and Spencer in a little bit, and they'll actually go over these 3 disciplines in more detail, so you have a better chance to really understand what are these fields, like what am I really getting myself into.
Hello, I'm Joyce. I'm the other code director, and I'll be going over graphic design and illustration today. So just a heads up, graphic design and illustration has a lot of overlap, so they don't have clear-cut definitions, and there's a lot of gray areas. So what I'm going over today is just a good general definition. So yeah, we can just go straight into it. Graphic design is the use of visual composition to solve problems and communicate ideas. Generally, it's used commercially, so like by a company or working with a company. So it's usually accompanied by a lot of text or content. Because of that, they usually have a target consumer, so they try to cater to that. And it uses a lot of typography, imagery, iconography, and form. So some examples of graphic design is branding. You can see that a lot with logos, icons, and color palettes. And other examples of graphic design is promotional materials like flyers, marketing and advertising deliverables like posters, and packaging and wrapping like on HelloFresh's box design. So over here on our very own campus, you can see some example of graphic design work. You can see it with UC Santa Barbara's College of Letters and Sciences logo and word mark, and also their other departments. On the left, we have some social media icons that were, of course, created by artists. On the left, we have this music and art conference advertising using these really vibrant colors and different shapes to catch your attention. And on the right, we have customized Instagram stories made an artist for shopping. And as we mentioned before, graphic design also lives in the food and retail space. So on the left, we have these really bright and really colorful and dynamic shape-based food packaging. And they obviously go along with the branding with the font and different motifs and colors they use. So what's the difference between graphic design and illustration? So graphic design is mainly created through digital mediums because they're widely advertised online or they're widely printed, while illustration uses more mediums that are like traditional and uses more fine arts techniques like watercolors, oils, acrylics, and so on and so forth. Illustration is a form of visual storytelling that conveys a narrative through creative interpretation. So it's a lot more focused on the painterly and the storytelling part. Although it can also accompany some text, books, and articles, It's usually a contained composition, which means that it can exist on its own and it doesn't necessarily need text to support it. So some examples of illustration is editorial illustration. Here on campus, we have the Daily Nexus, which is the newspaper, and some of the students here also do illustrations for that. We also have book covers, and another huge industry is the video game industry, where you'll see concept art, but also stuff like splash art from League of Legends. So here are some examples of illustration. You can see through these illustrations, they kind of focus more on the painterly aspects with drawings of textures. Yeah. And obviously illustration isn't confined to one style like 2D flat. It can also go into 3D, and 3D illustrations right now are actually a huge trend within the industry. So book covers are a great example of how sometimes it can be difficult to distinguish between graphic design and illustration because it also has some text involved with it. But we still define it as illustration because on the left you can see it uses some imagery to communicate the narrative of the story through the pictures. Lastly, as we mentioned before, video game industry, it uses a lot of illustration through concept art. And you can see on the right, this is created by Jeremy Fenske, which is a concept artist, and he did this fan art illustration for Legend of Zelda. So now I'll be turning it to Spencer, who can explain UI and UX.
All right, thank you, Joyce. Hello, I'm Spencer. So I'm going to be talking about UIUX, which is going to be our third design aspect that we're going to be focusing on this quarter. And I know UIUX is kind of less self-explanatory, so at any point you guys have any questions, feel free to either stop me in the chat or something. But anyways, so let's get into this. So UI and UX are both design processes in product design. UI stands for user interface and UX stands for user experience. So both of these kinds of design processes have the overall goal of creating a successful product, which is a product that people will actually use. So in order to do this, UI and UX designers both strategically design with potential users in mind, trying to create products that are satisfying to use, intuitive, functional, accessible, etc. So part of accessibility means making sure that the product's usable by people with disabilities, including people with color blindness or people who are blind. Anyway, so because of this, we often see this design process in the tech field, such as in web development or app development, or even in hardware like VR headsets or AR headsets. Yeah, so after hearing that, you might be wondering, what's the difference between UI and UX? So there's a lot of overlap between the two in terms of their processes and goals, as I mentioned earlier. But user interface is more specific to the design of the visual and tactile surfaces of the product, or the parts of the product that the user will physically interact with. On the other hand, user experience more or less includes user interface. It's like the cumulative experience a person undergoes while using a product. So this would include all the human senses instead of just touch. Or traditionally touch. I'm sure there's crazy user interfaces or something. But an example is say in a video game, the music might make you feel more excited at some point. And so I'd say that contributes more to the user experience rather than being part of the user interface. So anyways, with all that being said, in order to deliver a good user experience designers will do a lot of statistical and psychological research in order to determine the needs of their users. So in order to do this, they'll ask questions like, what will make people enjoy this product? Or how can I get people to return to my product? Or what will make my product easy to use? So yeah, based on this research, user experience designers can then inform what features need to be made in order to increase a product success. All right, yeah, anyone have any questions so far? Not, we're going right into some examples. So here are some UI app user interfaces, some examples of some app user interfaces. So on the left, we have this workout application. And on the right, we have this fruit ordering app, fruit shopping or something. So yeah, so since UI is mainly focused on how a product looks, like graphically, UI designers can create how the product looks first without needing to put it together in code. And there's a bunch of software available for that, such as Figma, Adobe XD, and Sketch. And if you're interested in learning about Figma, me and Connie will be putting on a Figma workshop in a couple of weeks. So look out for that. All right, moving on to UX. Here's an example of a UX case study, which is an overview of the research and design process a UX designer conducts to inform the creation of their product. So I wouldn't say there's a set formula for how a case study should look, but as long as it informs readers of the rationale and intent behind why the product is like the way it is, like why they decided to make it that way, then it serves its purpose. So some key features people might include are background, problem statement, research, prototype, or reflection. Yeah, so let's go right into this case study. So in this case study, it's a redesign for the teacher dashboard on Khan Academy. If you haven't heard of Khan Academy, it's like a online teaching platform. So yeah, I'm just gonna highlight some of the key features of this case study. I won't go through it too comprehensively, but in case you want to look at it in more detail later, this slide deck and the link to the case study will be available on the website. All right, so it looks like in this top paragraph, they have like a little bit of context about Khan Academy and the problem, which was the teacher dashboard, and they detail the problem statement. So I believe the problem, one of the major problems they had with the previous dashboard was that the information was too overwhelming. Among other problems, you can see next to these visuals, they have some captions about the different problems they had. So after giving out the problem statement, they go into their research that they did. So in this case study, the UX designer interviewed 10 non-math teachers, and they listed their findings on this section. So following their research, they could develop a prototype and then give it to a group of 30 teachers to get more statistics. So these 30 teachers were interviewed after using the prototype, and they were able to provide feedback for it, which they can then iterate upon. So UX design is oftentimes an iterative process, which means people will remake their product based on the feedback that they get. So just to like increase like this like satisfaction of the product for as much people as possible. So you can see in this next version, after getting feedback, they were able to ship out more versions of it before finally getting to a final design. Let's take a look at what they decided to launch. I think it's this, maybe. I can't really see. But anyway, so yeah, so it's so they created a final product, and after releasing their final product, it's always good to reflect on your results. So they include a reflection and results section, and a good way to measure your success of your case study is through statistics again. So you can see that they had an NPS of plus 51%, which is a customer satisfaction benchmark rating. Anyways, yeah, so yay, they did well. Teachers can now see how their students are learning better. How wonderful. Okay, so yeah, we went through that pretty quickly, but you can always go to the website to check it out again. Anyone have any questions? Okay, we can move on. So those are the three design elements that we're covering this quarter. Now we can take a look at some of the events we have planned for this quarter. So on the top line, we have 2 events. These 2 are going to be student-led, and then the bottom 2, we have events by professional speakers. Yeah, on the top row, how to use Figma, October 22nd, hosted by yours truly. Please check it out. Okay, but yeah, coming up very soon is our Photoshop workshop hosted by the design team. Yeah, Photoshop is a really cool, useful piece of software. I use it all the time, even in computer science and web development. So if you're interested in learning that, you should check that out. And you can go to that link, and it should bring you to a Google form to sign up for that event. Yep, and I think Joyce just dropped it in the Zoom chat. Yeah, so anyway, so those are events we have planned this quarter, but we want to make sure that we're putting out events that you guys are actually interested in. So we'd love to hear your input on any software or skills you want to learn. If there's any specific speakers that you'd want us to pool, or some kind of like group bonding activity for our new club, anything, you know. So you can go to our website and head to the actually suggestions tab where you'll find a suggestion form. So it'll be in the menu in this suggestion tab. Esther's going to go over it later, so you can see where that is. Or you can message the workshops channel, or just really just like ping anybody on the team. Everyone's super friendly. Everyone will be very willing to have a chat with you guys or hear anything you guys would like to talk about. So yeah, feel free to do that. Another big resource on the website, aside from that suggestions form, is the resources page of the website. So Esther is going to go to the website and we take a look at where that is and what it looks like. Yeah. Yep. So here's our resources page. Right now it's pretty barren because we only have the first design tips released, but we have more coming, as well as this page will also be home to the workshop recordings and the workshop slide decks. So yeah, you can always come back to this page for your reference. Another useful page is the events page. And this page is just a list of all our upcoming events. It will be frequently updated. Currently, it just has Kickoff and the upcoming Adobe Photoshop workshop. But yeah, we'll be sure to update this very, very soon so that you guys kind of gauge where our events are headed, you know? Anyway, so if you click on these links, it'll go to our Facebook events page. Right. Yep, that's about all from me. If anyone has any questions about any of the design, our design aspects that Joyce was talking about, or anything about our club so far, you can ask in the chat and somebody will tell me what to answer.
Yeah, we got a question in the chat from Emily asking if the Photoshop event will be recorded.
Oh, yes, I think so. Right?
So to clarify on that, oh, am I muted?
No, you're good.
I'm good. Okay. So pretty much we'll be recording all the workshops we have taking place if they are student-led. If they are led by an industry professional, if that professional is willing and able for us to record them, then that they also will have their recording available. But for your question immediately, yes, the Photoshop workshop will be recorded. So if you can't make it that day, no worries, we got you. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, if not, then Esther is going to talk about how to get involved in the Slack next. But if at any point you have any questions, you can just drop in the chat. Ooh,
Awesome. Thanks, Spencer.
someone has a question.
Oh, JK, go ahead.
Are there any plans to collab with other members on projects?
Yeah, so I'll actually be getting to that in a little bit. Right after the slide is the getting involved slide. So hold your horses, we're almost there. So for Slack, a lot of you should have actually been already onboarded onto the Slack. If you've signed up, we have your email. You should have been added to it. But if you have not, for whatever reason, either Spencer or Joyce will actually drop in the invite link in the chat right now. So you can get acclimated there. The reason why we're pushing Slack so much is that will actually serve as our main form of communication with you in terms of workshops that are happening, or let's say you have any questions that happen after a workshop or before one, you can drop them there and anybody here will be very, very happy to answer them. I know a lot of people have already begun populating our intros channel, which we love to see. Everyone, if you have a chance, once you get on the Slack, just go ahead, go on the intros channel and give a brief introduction about yourself. You can kind of see where everybody is coming from. Everyone's honestly on a different part of their walk in their creative life. So it's kind of cool to see what everybody's interested in. So go ahead and check it out. Another thing to note for Slack is this is a safe and welcoming environment. So by any means, it's okay if you don't know anything, or even if you do know a lot of things already, this is just a place, honestly, to learn and to continue to grow your own skills. So I will continue. And this will address a lot of the questions we've been getting about collaborations and whatnot. But as been mentioned, for fall 2020, we've pretty much already planned out what this quarter will look like. And what it does look like is workshops and mini design prompts. Now, to clarify on that, what that means is every time we have a student-led workshop, so like the Photoshop one upcoming, what it means is at the end of that workshop, the people leading it will pose a prompt for you. And what that's there to do is it's intended to challenge you to pretty much try out the skills that were taught in that workshop. It's not intended to feel like homework or anything, but it's just a space for you to say, okay, I learned XYZ skill from this workshop. Let's see how I can apply it in my way. How can I build upon this skill and improve myself? So in that sense, for this fall quarter, we are not doing very much competition, anything in that sort of way. It's more of an opportunity to learn and sort of educate yourself so that you are at a starting point. Another thing to note too is with these design prompts, any submissions that come in, you have the opportunity to be featured on our social media or Slack channels, which is really nice because A, creating stuff is great, but B, creating stuff and having other people see it, other people learning from what you've made is even better. So we always like to see people learning, sharing, and continue to grow throughout their days. And just looking forward real quickly for winter and spring, obviously there's still a lot of time before that happens, but this is what we are currently looking to do and plan out. So as we said before, there are 3 main design disciplines. We're looking to focus on graphic design and illustration more closely for design challenges in the winter quarter. And for spring, we're looking now and in the process of planning possibly a design-a-thon specifically focused on UI and UX. And so you probably have a lot of questions there, but I promise you a lot of good details will be coming along your way, and that will definitely help out there. I can elaborate a little bit on design-a-thon, but essentially, if you've ever heard of a hackathon or design-a-thon, you're essentially be working in groups of 2 to 4, tackling sort of a design prompt in any way. It could be redesigning a website or a lot of different prompts. Can't pull it off the top of my head right now, but there are a lot of possible prompts that can happen. But you're essentially at a design-a-thon, challenging that prompt with a group of other people who are creative and have a lot of different ideas out there, and you're putting those ideas together to create a brand new product or redesigning your product. But yes, that's what's up with getting involved. If you still have questions about what getting involved means, we can answer more of that in depth at the end of this presentation. And moving on, we have 3 main social media handles. These all fall under the same, it's just at SB Creative Lab. So please connect with us there. All our events will also be posted there, so you're aware of what's going on with the club, any updates, and submissions that come in from the workshops also will be featured on social media, so get on there. And last but not least, we are now at the Meet the Board section. So everyone on the board, we have a team of 8 people. We've all worked super hard. These lovely people have put together Design Org, and I'm really, really happy to see that the community is starting here at UCSB. I guess I'm just gonna call on Alex since you're first on the top. So if Alex, you can unmute yourself and sort of give an introduction about who you are, that'd be great.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Alex. I'm a senior, and I'm an art major in CCS, which is the College of Creative Studies. So if you got questions about that, hit me up. I mostly am interested in like art and illustration side of graphic design. So I'm really looking forward to getting to know more about like UI, UX, web design, typography, that kind of thing. And if you guys have any questions about using digital art software like Photoshop or Illustrator, feel free to ask me about that. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Moving on, Ashley.
Hi guys, I'm Ashley and I'm going to be a junior this upcoming school year. I'm a biopsychology and hopefully communication double major. So yeah, for me, I'm most comfortable with like graphic design, but I'm also looking into like illustration as well. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or anyone else. Yeah, I'm excited to meet you guys for the upcoming fall quarter.
Cool. Celine?
Hey guys, I'm a 3rd year. I'm currently a chem major, but I'll be switching into econ. My minor is in the art and tech program at school. I'm really excited to meeting everyone this year. I'm super involved on campus. So if you guys have any questions about what it's like getting involved in like AS or just student orgs in general, you can feel free to ask me.
Cool. And then Connie?
Hi, I'm Connie. I'm a third year comm major and intended professional writing minor and sociocultural linguistics minor. What else am I supposed to say?
Anything.
Oh,
What do you look forward to for SB Creative Lab?
I'm excited to meet everyone and learn so I'm marketing and so I'm not like, I'm a beginner in my creative journey. I've always been like really interested in learning more about all kinds of art. So I guess that's what I'm excited to do.
Cool. All right, back to me. Well, again, I am Esther. I'm one of the co-directors for SB Creative Lab. I am finishing up my communication degree at UCSB, and I'm also pursuing double minors in music and professional writing. I lead the logistics team, and I'm also a designer for the org. But what I look forward most for this year is probably watching this community grow from pretty much, we don't really have a design community here, but it'd be really cool to see that grow from scratch. And moving on, Evelyn.
Hi, I'm Evelyn. I'm a third year computer science major, and I'm on the marketing and web development teams. And like Connie, I don't have too much experience with design in general, so I'm really excited to learn with everyone. Yeah.
Cool. Joyce?
Hey, I'm Joyce. I'm also the other co-director, and I'm also part of the design team. I'm a fourth year CCS art major like Alex. So if you have any questions about CCS or what it's like being an art major, you can also ask me about it. I'm more used to painting and doing illustrations, especially like for social issues. I'm really excited to learn more about UI and UX.
Awesome. And last but not least, Spencer.
Hello. Okay, I'm unmuted. Yes. Okay. So I'm Spencer. I'm a third year computer science major. I switched my major from statistics to computer science. So if you're interested in that, you can talk to me about that. Yeah. So as far as design goes, I mostly know just about web development and UI UX. But yeah, if you want to learn about that, you can always hit me up. But I'm excited to learn about like the other facets of design. I'm also really excited for our professional speakers. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, y'all. But in terms of our presentation, that's what we have planned. Before I let everybody go, if you have questions, or can someone actually just let me know if there are questions in the chat? Was a thumbs up as a yes or a no?
Alyssa has a question. Why did you switch from stats to computer science for Spencer?
So for me, I got into SB as a, I didn't get into computer science, and computer science was my first choice. But yeah, so I was like kind of okay with going into statistics, but then I took PSTAT 128 and like just got bodied. So like, I was like, stats is not for me. So, but at the same time, I was like interested in switching into CS. So at the same time, I was already taking CS classes, and there's a lot of overlap between statistics and CS. So transferring wasn't too hard between the two.
Cool.
We have another question from Kelly. She says, will we be able to participate in the design challenges and create graphics even if we aren't able to purchase the software?
Yeah, 100%. So our workshops mainly will be taught, a lot of them are Adobe products, but by no means does that mean that's the only medium you can produce art on. A lot of, like on this page actually, I like using Procreate a lot, which is definitely not an Adobe software, but any software you use, honestly, that you can create art and can get creative with, all of that is fair game. So great question.
And if you guys are looking for free alternatives to stuff, we can, I think, put together probably a guide for that. There's a lot of products for like vector and raster software that are either free or less expensive or a one-time payment.
Are there other questions? I can't see the
Yeah,
chat.
Bria asked about UCSB art program, letting you get Adobe on your own computers. They were doing that for a while, but I think the offer has ended because we tried getting in touch with them about that, and it seems like it's over.
Yeah, but as we mentioned before, sometimes Adobe holds these creative jams, which are basically design-a-thons. And if you participate in them, then you get 1 year free for Creative Cloud. And that's what me and Esther did. So it's a pretty good way. Yeah, and Celine, sorry.
But yeah, to clarify on the Adobe Creative Cloud Gems, I believe there is one coming up. I will add the link to our Slack in the resources channel later, or one of the channels later. But to clarify on what Joyce said, you like don't have to win the Creative Gem to be getting this free license. It's literally, it's kind of Adobe's way of saying, here's how you can get involved, here's how you can learn the programs, and then now you have access to it as a student. So definitely take advantage of these opportunities.
Claudia also has a question. Is the design in the Creative Lab mainly digital design, or does it extend to other types of design as well?
Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so I think for us, we'll be focusing mainly on digital design like Photoshop and Illustrator, because UCSB as a whole mainly focuses on traditional design. But that doesn't mean that you can't combine the two. Like when you're creating a website, you can of course do paintings, scan them, and then upload them as like graphics.
You're gonna have to let me know if the chat's empty. Can't see it.
Yeah, the chat's empty right now. Do we have any other questions? Okay, it looks like we're good.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for coming out. You're all free to go, but if you have the time and you want to hang out and chat and play some games with us, feel free to do so. So I will give it a few minutes for people to either trickle out or stay on. The game we are playing is Scriblio, so we'll probably break up into a couple breakout rooms and do that. So you get a chance to introduce yourself and maybe talk to some people one-on-one. If you have questions about majors, minors, school in general, or just anything, honestly.
Thank you guys for coming.